Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Woodrow Wilson Center's China Environment Forum. My name is Jennifer Turner, and I direct the China Environment Forum there. As you can see from my big sign behind me, I've been at the Wilson Center for 22 years now, putting on lots of meetings, exchanges, focus on a whole plethora of topics: energy, environment, water. Water's been my big one. And most recently been doing what I call my dumpster diving, plastic waste issues. We have a grant from Japan Foundation Center for Global Partnership that has been fabulous, helping us do deep dives into policies, advocacy, business practices for innovation and partnerships in China and Southeast Asia to close the loop on plastics. And today, the big treat, two of my old friends here, Ma Jun and Mao Da. We're gonna have a conversation. It's almost like a podcast with video here, folks. And so the topic today is called Transparency and Grassroots Advocacy to Close the Loop on Plastic Waste in China. China, in some ways, China, you guys kicked off the ripple effect in the world, closing the doors to importing plastics. And China has now been having to look more inward, trying to make their own adjustments to figure out how to solve and deal with this mountains and mountains of waste. And just real quick, we're going to start off with Ma Jun, who I brought to the States. We were calculating beforehand, I think back in 2003 for a water exchange. He is the founder and director of the IPE, Institute for Public and Environmental Affairs. A lot of people watching know his organization does so much on opening up information on their Blue Sky app, on maps for all different types of pollution. And his newest map happens to be a waste map. And so when I found out he was doing that, I said, Ma Jun, you got to come tell us your story. And then Mao Da, founder of China's Zero Waste Alliance. Also, you have your think tank to boot. I don't know when you sleep, but his organization, as the title says, Zero Waste Alliance, has been focusing, kind of an incubator for a lot of organizations around China. He's going to talk to us about some of the work that people in the network in China are doing around incineration. But just reminding people, we have a great live Q&A box now so that you could submit questions at any time, and I will ask it of them. And I'm going to stop talking because I want to hear their stories, but I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. And Ma Jun, if you could share your PowerPoint, and then we will just get our talking going here today.
Thank you, Jennifer, for your kind invitation. It's been such a treat to be with you, to be with my old friend Mao Da. It's so good to be back to the Wilson Center in this time of COVID, via Zoom. So happy to have the chance to talk about the actions taken back in China on all this municipal waste issue. Our urban household waste generation continues to grow. And this is from 2013 to 18. We can see that how this waste collection volume continue to grow, and of course the landfill capacity have almost come to its ceilings, and but the incineration keep expanding. And someone as old as me, have been through this waste sorting practice attempts over the past 20 years. Beijing was among one of the 8 cities to try it out in the year 2000. But we can see from this bar chart that how even in more recent years the waste volume continued to grow, and in Beijing it has just topped 10 million tons, and the per capita volume continue to grow. And now we have a new opportunity. The top leadership Wei Ling himself a couple of years ago, and eventually the government, central government, have required 46 cities in China to try it out. So we can see that all these compulsory waste sorting policies are required to be rolled out. And at this moment, we need to, in some way, reveal what has happened, in our way to combat the other local pollution problem, like on the zero carbon, zero waste. We need to tap into that. The environmental information help us to mobilize the people, and in just 8 years of time, China managed to cut its air pollution by more than half. And of course, our map, as Jennifer mentioned, we developed the Blue Map app in 2014 and compile all this air quality data, the soil, water, and emitters data, put some 7 million emission sources on the digital map, and visualize some of the biggest ones, and based on their level of pollution, and people file micro-reporting against the polluters, and which triggered some of the largest state-owned enterprises to openly address their violations. And for the climate action, we also just launched the Blue Map for Zero Carbon, allowing people to check all this local and corporate emission. So on the municipal waste side, we decided it's time to tap into this big data and mapping technologies. So working with Vanke Foundation, we developed the municipal waste map. It's in 3 different categories: city waste map, collecting all this city data, and the data disclosed by the government, and then the on all different kind of waste, and then enterprise waste map, tracking all the corporations which handling from waste collection to the transportation, to separation at landfill, the incinerators, and among all these major incineration plants, most of them have online monitoring data, so our users can easily check that, and landfills the same. And the most important, today we're going to talk more on the community waste map, which present data uploaded by the public, and reflect the status of waste sorting in urban communities. And we try to use that to build awareness and capacity, so people can easily check all this by even through voice message. But the most important function is this the one that we initiated, titled "Take a Picture to Figure Out Waste Sorting." And it's based on crowdsourcing and citizen science. We can see from the year 2000, August 2000, and to this October, the past October, we can see how this initiative managed to cover more than 240 cities and nearly 20,000 compound and communities, and all our users in different parts of China, they took picture and managed to have to give a visualized display of the community waste sorting for the first time. And so nationwide and in different cities, we have the ranking of all these people who participated in this initiative, and they help us to basically color code all this compound based on their waste sorting practice. And we can see that, our partners, 28 of them, NGO partners, have volunteers to participate, and including Zhejiang, who managed to do 10,000 times of observations in the city of Suzhou. So basically, it's a combination of taking a picture on sites and a questionnaire. 3 most crucial questions, most key questions, and we can help us figure it out. So we can see that through this visualization that how how Suzhou, it's all almost like all green, so meaning that garbage sorting have been accomplished in a big way, and then how Tianjin and some other cities, Wuhan, it's all red, so not doing very well at all. But Beijing is a kind of a mixed situation. And the waste sorting index, obviously, it's give ranking to all these cities based on a dynamic assessment, day in, day out. Each posting gonna be feed into this methodology behind, at the back end, so we can figure out the ranking of the cities and then the counties and district. From that, we can see some cities make progress, but Beijing and other cities hit bottlenecks in their community waste sorting. This is Beijing versus Shanghai. We can see that how the kitchen waste in Beijing, unfortunately, not very much, still not very much sorted out, and we have done a on-site also of a more kind of a deeper dive into six districts in Beijing, and just to figure out which is the most important factors, A, B, C, D, E, F, and we can see the determining factors are removing the bins and building collection points and garbage disposal at specific time and locations, which provide opportunities, make it possible for supervision and guidance. As Dr. Mauda put it, to basically remove the anonymity of in this garbage disposal, but those none providing some convenience or color-coded trash bins. Those are the non-determining factors. So in the best practice, national best practice, we can see in Suzhou, they managed to establish standardized garbage sorting and supervisors on duty, in some cases around the clock, in many other cases at the right time. And then they also use new technologies to track littering and impose real penalties. Shanghai is also best practice, managed to build to write all this into their regulations. In legislation, they're definitely a front runner. Of course, throughout the world, garbage sorting is not a piece of cake. It's not easy at all. Only the few countries have been very successful. Japan is the first one, and then followed by Korea, and we can see Seoul, how Seoul can manage to do that in a very good way, and the city of Taipei also did it very well. And so based on all this community research and international and overseas experience, so we managed to draw 3 core modules in our in the mechanism, and so remove the garbage bins and disposal at a specific time period, and provide supervision and guidance. This is the most important. So we made recommendations on all these 46 cities. Only 18 of them have put it into the regulations, and more detailed recommendations are also made, and about the standards and details. I mean, all this got extensive media coverage and public attention, and we also sent our suggestions to the agencies in charge, and got some positive feedback. They are also looking for solutions. Actually, this afternoon, I've been invited to participate in a meeting, which means to try to break the bottlenecks at our city. And these three core modules have been recognized by the sector's 14th five-year plan. I think that's the biggest progress, the most important. And now, last point, China is trying to launch the circular, trying to focus on the development of circular economy in its national guidelines to tackle the climate change. This has been made the #1 priority, and to the promote of the green lifestyle is also part of that, but it's the most difficult part. As Jennifer said, plastic pollution and ocean protection, that's also a new challenge that we're facing. And so basically, we're the largest producer and consumer of plastic products, but the recycling rate has yet to be enhanced. It's actually, we have seen a downward trend, so that's not acceptable. And so I think we must tackle that from the sources. And so with this, all these years we've been doing the green supply chain work and rank and assess the performance and rank now 662 brands, local and global brands, and come up with front runners by industries. But on the home care, on the food and beverage, all those who use a lot of packaging and those e-commerce platforms, all those use a lot of garbaging, but they're a lot of plastic packaging and generate a lot of waste. Many of them made commitment, but so far they kind of say that they can't collect this, so they can't implement that. They can't do it, consolidate in China. But now, with the waste sorting being accomplished, especially in the Yangtze River Delta, and I trust increasingly going to be in many other parts of China, the last mile bottleneck finally can be bridged. And I think time has come for a deep integration of community and industry, with sorting and to reduce pollution from the sources. I thank you for your attention, and I look forward to further discussions. Thank you.
There's a lot of great information in there, and I was like, wait, stop, no. So we'll come back and we'll ask you some more questions. Like, one question I had was, you said that there were 3 questions for the community. And I'm like, just real quick, what were the 3 questions for the community to answer when they do their waste maps?
The first question is about whether this waste the kitchen waste had been separated, because that's very crucial in our mechanism. And then it's also the second question about whether the other in other dustbins, trash bins, there are also mixed waste. And then the third part is about whether it's all littered around, it's dirty or littered around. So basically, just 3.
It's like they're giving a report card for each of the waste sites that they found. And I love that there was a lot of diversity in those pictures. Some seemed high tech and some were not as good. So no, but I love it. You've excelled on the whole report card and indexing stuff. So, all right. I was perfectly fine. I started talking and get a frog voice. So why don't we switch over to you, Mao Dao, because we have a lot more questions. Oh, speaking of which, I got my first question coming in, but please, underneath the screen here, there's a place to submit questions. Please start submitting now, because after Mao Dao speaks, then we can pepper them with questions. Okay, thank you so much. And Mao Dao, if you could share your screen.
Yep.
And make it full screen, and then we're off to the races.
Okay. Can you see that?
It's perfect, thank you.
All right. So I can start.
The virtual mic is all yours.
Okay. Good morning, good evening. Firstly, many thanks to Jennifer and Wilson Center for inviting me to this interesting event. And also thanks to Ma Jun and for giving us a very good introduction of the story and your application of big data to promote waste separation. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about waste in China from another angle. But firstly, I think when Ma Jun was talking, there is a very important context there. Currently, in China, waste separation is a national policy, or compulsory separation is national policy, and it's becoming a social norm at the same time. And also, Ma Jun mentioned that actually 20 years ago, the government has already had some pilot cities for waste separation, but for some years, it's not implemented well. It was during 2006 or 2007, and since then, there has been a series of citizen movements on opposing incineration projects near their neighborhoods that truly trigger the process for the whole society to answer the question whether we should separate or not separate our waste seriously. So I think avoiding the negative impacts of incineration is a very important origin for promoting reduction and separation of waste in China for the past 1 or 2 decades. But gradually, when separation became a national policy and social norm, people gradually forgot why we were doing separation. In Chinese, it's quite mafan. It's very a lot of troubles because the anti-incineration movement is quite long ago now, more than 10 years. But so I think to maintain separation, to maintain the momentum and give a very strong reason to continue, we need to deal with its relationship with incineration and have a very clear idea about its relationship with the incineration is very important. I'm quoting one garbage historian, American garbage historian, Professor Martin Malosi's work. He used a metaphor to describe incineration technology in US history. He has a paper. At the beginning of the paper, he described that during his time, people in the States regarded incineration as sorry, I did it wrong spelling. Panacea. It's a panacea technology. That's a metaphor, but his historical research showed that over the past century, incineration has never can play a role of a panacea, but a niche technology. And he described that why is a niche. He says variations along the historical trend line suggest that in addition to direct competition from other disposal options, the incineration niche is dependent on mix of economic, environmental, and regulatory externalities, as well as public perception. I like this word because sometimes during the anti-incineration campaign, not just in China, but some other parts of the world, people tend to describe incineration as a demo sometimes. very bad, the worst thing, but maybe too extreme. So I like the niche concept. But niche is a term from ecology, I think. So this is my drawing. I also try to describe where is the niche for incinerator in the society. I think it's like a vulture in the wilderness, and vulture feed on residual of the ecosystem, not all the other animals or plants. So there's a very limited place, food for vulture. So this is like it. So in our waste management system in Europe, we also use residual waste to describe the suitable waste for incineration technology to treat. But in the reality, for some time, in many countries, the society, for many reasons, incineration tend to be regarded as a panacea. So that's not natural. That's not natural. But if you regard it as a panacea, there are going to be a lot of bad consequence. In 2018, there's a scientific paper published by the researcher from Nanjing University in China, and they demonstrated the average cancer risks of the whole country caused by incinerators is at 5.7. I don't know how to explain the math. You can see the number there. Yeah, this is 5 times the US EPA's acceptable cancer risk level. And 17 provinces, their cancer risk is higher than this US EPA acceptable level, and 7 higher than, so 10 times higher. So that's a serious consequence of incineration pollution. That's a general research. This is a case study, and this case study is about an incinerator in Zhejiang province. The scholars from the province has published a series of papers. So in general, they concluded that in 10 years, the pollutants of the incinerator make the adjacent residents, particularly mother and their children, have higher heavy metal and dioxin levels in their body. So compared to the control group, it's very significant. So this is very clear evidence of the risk, environmental and health risk of mixed waste. If you don't separate, you mix them and you burn them, that's the very significant negative impacts. So about 5 years ago, so some scholars and NGOs, practitioners, we have a slogan. We had a slogan we called "Put incineration into the cage of separation." So that's I think that another term for create a niche, but use a very strong words to create a niche for incineration. And 5 years later, a group of NGOs, scholars, including my organization and also colleagues from IPE, from colleagues of Ma Jun, we gather together to discuss a new shared vision to create a better niche for incineration. We are practical. In China's reality, there are many ways, mixed waste need to be disposed of by incinerators or landfills. But how to make it, stay in its niche and not to impact the source solution in separation? We need to have a better vision, which can be, we hope it can be endorsed by the industry, the governments, and to be very exclusive. So there are 4 elements of the shared vision. The first one is we think waste hierarchy is a very important principle. This is already in the lore of the EU waste hierarchy, emphasizing the prevention, minimization, reuse, rather than incineration, landfill. And if you have this principle, we can find that for different waste streams, we need to find different technology to treat them. Landfill and incineration for mixed waste, but if you separate them, you have different technologies for different streams. The second element is, if we have the waste hierarchy, if we have multiple technologies for different waste streams, definitely we can expect that the category and the volume of waste to be burned can be reduced significantly. But we can also still make it very stronger. For example, we can propose incineration ban list to the government and to the incineration industry, not to allow some category of waste to enter incinerator plants, particularly food waste, household hazardous waste, and PVC plastics. Because PVC plastics, you burn it, you very easily to emit dioxin and other pollutants. The third one is if the waste to be burned will be reduced, we can expect that some incinerator can stop and can retire, in time. So what to do with them? We need to have a good vision for them. Better to convert it to, other use, like ecological park or entertainment facility. But still, there are some incinerators in operation. A very important baseline is bottom line is they must be transparent, open, and community friendly. The last element we set up is, during the whole process, there need to be multi-stakeholders participation, and there should be joint responsibilities and joint governance. Over 10 years ago, the residents opposing incinerators, they call for separation, but actually few of them practice them. So nowadays, when we all agree that separation should be the common common thing. So if you don't like incineration, you need to be the people that do separation at the same time. Okay, lastly, when incinerators will exist for some time, and our goal is to increase the reduction and separation. And we have already seen, because China has some cities like Suzhou and Shanghai, they have done better. And many evidence already show that good separation can help reduce the pollution of incinerator. This is research from Zhejiang University. They showed that after separation, both the dioxin and PAH re-emission significantly reduced. And recently, because Shanghai is a very successful city in separation now, and last year the government officer they give a data said after Shanghai's separation, the dioxin emission from one incinerator of the city has been reduced by 90%. So this is a very significant result. So in conclusion, in China, separation, we need to not just think about, there are many factors can influence the separation, but never forget how to regulate, how to create a suitable niche for incineration is a very important one among them. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Mao Da. You could take your screen down and
okay.
I have some questions, but I want to encourage, I have 3 questions that came in so far. I want to encourage more people to submit your questions for Mao Da and Ma Jun. And yeah, I think I want to maybe, where to start? Oh, Ma Jun, if you could put your screen back on, that would be fabulous. Well, first of all, I'll ask one question is, well, Mao Da, so you put forward these proposals, these ideas about how you want to have kind of a ban list on certain things that shouldn't go in there, how there has to be transparency. Are you working with a specific city on this, to try to get this instated in terms of making it national policy, or are you just starting small? Because these seem to me like really logical first steps, but I also know that there's a lot of cities have incinerators and they like incinerators because it makes money. But all right, so can you give me a little answer there on what you're doing?
Yeah, I provided 4 elements of our shared vision, and we hope this is an exclusive vision and can be supported by different stakeholders. And we are practicing at the different levels to some extent, some more, some less. Regarding your question on for example, the incineration ban list, we are my colleagues, our partner NGO like Wuhu Ecology, because they have done a lot of information monitoring and transparency work, and they have more contacts with the incineration companies, and they are approaching them to discuss with them on the possibility to set up a voluntary standard to regulate the waste, what kind of waste can enter the plant, the facility, and what kind of not. And also we are providing some examples overseas, including Taipei and cities in Taiwan, to show, for example, in Taiwan, PVC plastic is a very very sensitive thing. Incinerators will avoid PVC plastic from entering the facilities. And also in Korea, South Korea, food waste is a agreed stream that should not be entered in both landfills and incinerators.
Is that a national law in Korea?
In Korea, the law regulates very clearly regulates food waste cannot enter in landfill. There's no clear law to ban burning, but it became like an agreement. Yeah,
like a volunteer. And we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm probably imagining the Korean NGOs were probably quite active on this front. I should point out that, you know, in the country of California, or state of California, that they're preparing to ban food waste in the landfill. I don't know if they're doing it in incinerators, but what was interesting there is that it created the incentive for waste collectors to, you know, for mainly taking it from hotels and universities and restaurants, to ship their waste to wastewater treatment plants that use it to do anaerobic digestion. And so I think that I found that very clever, because I thought, well, you know, so you have a government ban on something, but it actually catalyzed something that now the wastewater treatment plants can use more of the methane they capture to power themselves and to sell it for compressed natural gas cars. So that I think that it's kind of, that's another, if you don't have that example, I can send you information, because it's a good example to show that a ban doesn't mean like, oh, you know, something's going out of business. It just create more jobs. Ma Jun, glad you're back. Sorry, technology took you away for a second. Yeah, so I'm going to turn to some of the questions on the screen that I'm having coming in. So I have a couple for you, Ma Jun, and then we'll get back to you, Mao Da. Mariana Bundes from Germany. She says, thank you so much for these fascinating presentations. Question for Ma Jun. Has the waste map already gone online? And if so, when did it go online? And so that's his. And I'm going to get a Mao Da one from her in a moment. But also, someone else also asked that so the other related question is, how do citizens know to submit, you know, how do you get people to really get involved in submitting these comments and these these searches for the collection points? Did we lose you, Ma Jun? Are you there? I think he's gone again. All right, well, hopefully he'll tune back in. So well, Mao Da, I have to ask you, do you use Ma Jun's waste map app?
Yes.
Not to put you on the spot. So, and is it you personally, or have you been encouraging?
I use it actually mostly for other information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen, are there people in your Zero Waste Alliance network who are also using the waste map to help to track to take the pictures?
I know a elder volunteer in Beijing. He actually before the map, the map, he was already very active on collecting or to observe whether people are separate according to the law, and also take photos and post them to Weibo and also act the government. And after there's the map, the waste map, he has another channel, and we can see the aggregate information, not just from him and also from other people.
Yeah. So, hey, Ma Jun, you're back. On a couple of questions for you on your Waste Mass app. How do you encourage people, get citizens to actually get involved to posting things on it?
Yes, we have launched something called the City Challenge, and it's a great idea that invented by our partner Green Jiangnan, and they managed to build their WeChat groups in all different districts, counties, and districts in their city, and the local people are really they really care about this issue, and got quite proud about what they have achieved. Because we give a instant ranking system, so they score pretty good and rank very high. So they are happy with that. So that's one case. But in some other cases, like in Beijing, we have the quite a few quite some of the parents, especially the parents of those school students. They, during the vacation time, there's a requirement for them to do some social activities and to participate in these social programs. And our program is it's something that they can actually they can pretty easily participate and manage to get the certificate. The school, which can be accepted by the school. But I think the most important is that everyone can see that on the digital mapping, that something they upload, and then that could make an impact on the color code of their compound, and basically to light up their own compound on a national map. And this scoring, this assessment, actually has something to do with the score and ranking of their district and even their cities.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's all motivation.
Well, apropos cities, because you started off, when you gave an overview of your maps, you said that there was a city map, and then there's like the enterprises, that you were tracking the people who collect and sort and landfill and dumping. You went into more detail about the citizens taking the pictures and them getting ranked. Can you tell us something like, what kind of information are, you're getting how much waste is being collected, how much is being incinerated. Is there something with your map that's going to change the behavior of the enterprises or the cities? Or is that phase 2 or 3?
Yeah, we hope so. We hope this can be a multi-stakeholder approach, and on the enterprise side, this all these years of work conducted by NGOs, including led by Mauda's group, have finally motivated the ministry to require them to install online monitoring and give all this data to the public, and even open the incineration company to the outside, for people to go there to check and to visit. So we provide all this data on this, to help people virtually, visit the factory and then check all their online monitoring and color code them. If they're in violation, then they will turn into red color, and the neighbors and the local residents can report. And sometimes these violations, it's not just a matter of penalty fine. Their tariffs of electricity tariffs could be compromised if they fail to. So you can imagine that's very, very serious to any incinerator. So all this, put together, make them more, care more about this. And so from individual incinerators, we also can trace it back to the listed companies. So started giving the assessment of the environmental dynamic assessment of the environmental credit of those listed companies handling the waste business. And of course, this could have some impact in that, we hope, eventually to the investors who want to go green. And on the city side, it's we're going to provide we started providing some ranking, and we haven't really fully publicized that. Eventually, we hope that when the ranking and scoring get more solid, we're going to publicize that. We have years of experience when we started publishing the transparency index on the city level. Either it's on the enforcement issue of enforcement or air quality and water quality. It always having some impact, empower the citizens to and motivate the cities to do better. So this time, I hope what I hope to, we already managed to see that the 3 core modules got put into the sector's 14th five-year plan on the central government level. I think that's the most important. And then among the 46 cities, we hope to see, not just 18, but all of them can start to put all this module requirements into their local regulations. That's the second step. And then we also hope to see more cities started building a separate, not just waste sorting by the residents, but waste collection also need to be fully separated. You need the government to build that system, the sorting, the transportation, collection, and eventually the whole disposal in an eco-friendly way, like what Magda just
or because you and I had talked before too, that there's, and you said in your talk that like recycling rates have actually gone down in China in the last few years, and even though plastic recycling.
That's the plastic on the plastic side. Yeah, plastic side. I trust that probably some of the plastic no longer being favored because their added value is quite low, especially to those low value added plastic packaging. So that's make the recycler rate to come down. And so what we suggest is after the standardized garbage sorting program being fully in place, those who made commitments, those major food and beverage and home care, those major brands, and also the local and global e-commerce platform who make commitments, they can provide some sort of support, just a little money that the local supervisors and directors in charge of those garbage disposal points can actually help to sort it out in a beautiful way. I have seen them, separate all this different type of plastics, fully from the fully recyclable to those which are very low value added. But if someone need that, if someone can pay a bit for that, then they still separate them. They still sort them out pretty well.
Yeah. So, related to this, there's Elisa Perez, Associate Director, Trustee Chair in Chinese Business and Economics, said, whoops, pop down here. Thank you for the presentation. I think, where do you see companies getting involved to encourage the public to sort their waste? And how do you see this affecting the food takeout and delivery culture? That's one question. And then there's a kind of along there, Summer Jaron Sandler wrote, can the speaker comment on the question of biodegradable plastic containers in China? So maybe maybe Magda, can you take on the biodegradable plastic container standards, debate, arguments in China right now?
It's very controversial in China now, because the policy is actually encouraging the replacement of oil-based plastics with biodegradable. But in reality, there are many uncertainties now. Firstly, if is the alternatives, truly biodegradable? So we lack, certification system, like in countries in Europe or North America. So, but there are some truly biodegradable materials there. But for the whole market, if we don't have a very good certification system, people can very hard to tell the good products.
Yeah.
So
and can you you'd stand with it in front of all these nice recycling bins and you wouldn't know where to put it, right? Because there's no, because it takes specialized, sometimes different products I've heard have to have special composting facilities because they can still
Yeah.
have plastic in them.
Yes.
There-
Even though people can use the good products, they need to be shipped to the industrial composting facilities, and
Mhm.
this is also a problem in many cities.
And it can be expensive. Someone named Grace Guo, professor, has asked, can you let us know about the current status of informal recycling in Chinese cities? Like, because it used to be very informal, but now it's become more formalized. And do you think that when the waste is getting sorted, you kind of hinted at this, Majun, when the waste is being sorted now, is it mainly going to more modern waste reuse and recycling facilities?
Yeah, that's right. At this moment, there's an informal mechanism, and the scavengers and pick some of the value-added plastic and others, and then there's also some companies and property agencies. They got involved in this. And then all this waste got sent to, waste stream goes into some of the smaller companies that dispose of these recyclables, and sometimes the process can be quite dirty, and by itself become a new source of secondary pollution. So there's.
So you're going to have to put that on your map.
Yeah, that's right. And anyone who breached the standards, will put it on our map. Jennifer, we are tracking 10 million corporations in China now, including quite some of the disposal corporations. So I think when this new system being built, I hope that the whole secondary pollution problem can be taken care of, and some more kind of modern and clean process can be set up. That's what I hope to see when big major brands got involved, and to make sure that the whole.
Oh, he froze up. Does it, Mada, I'll pivot to you real quick, see if he pops back. I got the other question from Maria Bundas was asking about, are you seeing a lot of incineration? Are there protests around incinerators anymore today, or are those street protests less? And why?
Yeah, less, but there are still some cases that residents challenge the proposal, but not a street protest. Another reason is we need to acknowledge that in recent years incinerators get cleaner. Yeah, the pollution control is getting much better, but it doesn't mean that there's no environmental and health risk. We need to upgrade our standards.
Mm-hmm.
Because
also,
that's compared with the old standard, existing standard.
But are you encouraged, like with Majun's map, which again, I think both of you said that incinerators have to report what their emissions are, but now with the map, it brings all that information together, so it makes it a lot easier, for both the public and local officials to see that information. Do you think that's going to be helpful? I mean, as you're moving forward?
Yeah, huge. Very strong motivation for local government and central government to monitor, strengthen the monitoring.
But you said the standards are maybe not, but green or red is going to depend on Chinese standards for like how much is allowed.
I think for those pollutants that can be monitored online, that's more powerful. But for some heavy metals, dioxins, which cannot be monitored online, this is less powerful. So we still need some other measures to push the monitoring and disclosure of the information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm hoping that I mean, you and Ma Jun definitely need to stay close contact because of, you know, your kind of work on the ground and Ma Jun's with the, but he has on the ground work too. Oh, it looks like he's tuning right in. Maybe as he's coming up, do you feel, I mean, I kind of sense from you, you have a little bit more optimism in your voice than you did in years past, I think, about how the trend lines for the waste and incineration challenges. Is that true? You feeling more optimistic?
Oh, relatively. If we look back the last decade, I think we have reason to be more optimistic, because for very tough issues, we can still change it.
Yeah.
But the current situation is the challenge is the waste generation is still very big. So local governments have no choice. They have to, and the separation and prevention, minimization have still slow, and there's not strong policies and implementation there. So there's not many choices but to plan and build more incinerators now.
Yeah, but in some ways, China, I mean, that's why I like, I always like coming back to China. It's the heart of my project, but the trends in China are true throughout the rest of Asia and the world. Is that, I mean, as waste, particularly plastic, keeps growing up, it's easier for governments to deal with the downstream, right? Bury it or burn it. But I think that with the work that you're doing and Ma Jun, in terms of promoting the transparency, and particularly how you guys are focusing on the health impacts, and for Ma Jun, kind of the, naming and shaming of companies and cities, that also can catalyze some positive changes. Looks like I'm trying to see if Ma Jun's going to pop right in to say at least goodbye to everyone. But I want to thank everyone I want to thank both you and Ma Jun for speaking today. And we got some great questions. And Mao Da, if you're, if we're willing, we'll hopefully be able to post your PowerPoints on PDF. But I definitely want to have you coming back again, Mao Da, to talk more about how does China get over some of these obstacles on getting higher up in the hierarchy of minimization, because there's still an awful lot of those like food delivery and e-commerce boxes there. So but yeah, I want to thank you very much and thank the audience. Letting everyone know that's listening that we have a few more meetings set up before the end of the year. We're not sitting idle here. We have a meeting on cleaner grids in China for decarbonization on the last day of November. We also on December 1st have a plastic and climate meeting that's focused more broadly in Asia and the United States. And it's not up online yet, but we're going to have a meeting on serious games for environmental protection. So video games, et cetera. And compliments, we're working on a game on plastic waste here at the Wilson Center. So thank you very much, everyone, and Mao Da and Ma Jun. And thank my AV team for making us shine as usual. Have a good morning and good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.